try to be short, 10 minutes, presenting this TissUUmaps tool we are developing here. I work in the BioImage informatics facility in Uppsala, Sweden, which is kind of a node of Euro-BioImaging. And we've been developing that tool in collaboration with BIIF in Uppsala University for the last 10 years or something. It's a web-based tool, GPU accelerated based. So it's very close to what Pete presented just before to QPath, except we try to make it available as a web tool so that you can share your data. And also our goal was to work for spatial omics more than only whole slide images. So, of course, multiplex data if you have, but also if you have marker-based data or regions or things like that you want to display, you can use TissUUmaps. And in particular, as it's using the GPU of any computer, you can display millions of markers on top of your data directly in the web browser. So it's both a web application that you can put online and give a link to anybody, as well as a desktop viewer. So you can install it locally, you can prepare your data locally, load your images, your data points, your shapes, whatever data you have, and then share it online with other researchers or for publication as part of your publication strategy. And it's also integrated in a Jupyter notebook. So you can, if you have your images in Python, you can then load them directly in the notebook and interact with your data way more than just plotting the data, because here you can zoom in, zoom out, you can select things, different markers, and so on. We can load three main types of data: the images. So it's like Pete showed, if you have multiplex, highly multiplexed images, we can load many layers of images. We can also load them next to each other so that you can compare and so on. So that's exactly the same, but where we're really good at is displaying markers and like 10 millions of markers on top of your data without any long wait or a lag. And also hundreds of thousands or millions of regions. If you have, for example, cell classification, you can display your cells directly on your tissue on the web browser. So it looks like this, and you can go all the way to like subcellular information if you have spatial omics with, let's say, in situ sequencing data where you have markers at the subcellular level, or you can also display like cell types if you have that in your markers. You can display as many 2D images as you want, or like as the browser will support, but that can be a lot in different colors or together multiplexed as you prefer. You can display all your markers and select the markers you want. For example, if you have different targeted genes, you can highlight one at the same time and so on and go through all of them. You can also display your markers in different ways. For example, here we display pie charts instead of just the simple markers. Then you can see cell types or anything like that. This is very difficult to read here because we have many cell types, but you can have simpler kind of pie charts and a lot of information in one slide. And for the regions, you can either have imported regions. So for example, if you had cell segmentation in CellPose or in QPath, for example, or anything, you can load them directly in the browser in TissUUmaps, and then you can zoom in and zoom out and see all your cells and like color them as you want and so on. And also if you have observations, you could display them. Yes, I'm losing the control now. Maybe here. We can also load object like data objects, for example, that already contains images and data points and shapes and things like that that you saved in Python. And data comes from the SCVerse community. So then you can display all of that directly in your browser or in your TissUUmaps instance if you install it locally. And like look at every data set and also annotate and export from TissUUmaps. Then we have developed many plugins on top of that. You can like display feature space next to your spatial data and interact with the spatial data or the feature space data sets and like see the same markers in both. You can look at them in 3D if you want, if you like to see a bit more details. You can also convert your row markers into regions with similar marker features. For example, if you want to like understand your structures in your data, you can do that. Or if you want to find cell types or different things like that. You can also do quality control. For example, here we have in situ sequencing with decoding. So you can like look around your data and see in all the multiplexed layers what was decoded as spots and so on. So we have TissUUmaps is really meant to be used as quality control of your data and sharing of your data. And many more here. That's multiplex images where we can display each marker one at a time. And then you can play with the plugins. You can look at the different multiplex in this grid view so that you can see the different markers you used directly, or you can put some color space if you want. But also you can analyze, like if we look at the Leiden clustering of the cells here, you can see how they interact with each other. If you go in the feature space plugin, you can look at your clusters in the feature space in UMAP. And also if we go in the other plugin here, you can, let me jump here, you can display like the neighborhood enrichment of your cells. So to see which cells are close to each other in different cell types and so on. So everything is meant to be interactive and that you can play with your data to understand it better. We are compatible with many tools that exist. I mentioned ANData, but we can also exchange data with like many tools around. If you have regions, images, or markers, you can load them, export them. We are also planning on having spatial data, which is kind of the new way of dealing with ANData objects in the future, and we are developing that right now. So that should be available in the coming month minimum. And I think it's been 10 minutes. So yeah, that was my conclusion.
Thank you. It was just 7.5, so we do have time for questions.
I started a bit later, so I can conclude just super fast and wait.
Go for it.
But yeah, this as I said, it's really meant to be interactive and online. And we are very happy if you have ideas or if you want to collaborate, we are open to collaboration and how to integrate TissUUmaps in your projects, how to host it online. So please reach to us. We have a website. If you Google TissUUmaps, you will find us at tissueumaps.github.io, and we are really welcoming all ideas and help.